Hello, everybody. This is the Cold War Prepper Lee. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Apartment Prepper, welcome. Okay, so we are looking at finishing up Selco Begovic's book, the SHTF Survival Boot Camp. We're doing chapter 6. And, oh, I hope you don't have what I had, Apartment Prepper. Golly, please don't get that. It's not fun. I can guarantee you that much. As a matter of fact, I was mistaken. I thought I had a 7-day quarantine, and I got a call from the doctor. I was supposed to see the allergist tomorrow, and they called and canceled. And they said that CDC guidelines are 10 days from the day that you start the symptoms. So they have to reschedule my allergy appointment, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, couldn't breathe last Friday evening, and blood pulse went up to 150, and it was terrible. I mean, ugh. So please don't have what I had or what we're getting over. Although I understand that right now it's running its course through the U.S. and it's very, very contagious. So, but we'll keep you in our prayers. Okay. So I was saying we are finishing up this book. Well, thank you. Maybe it's all that expensive makeup, huh? But so we're going to finish up Selco Begovic's book. Next week, we're going to take a break. Just give everybody a break from reading and everything else, and then we'll come back the week after that. Let me get my calendar out. So if I take a look at that, that means that Tuesday the 2nd, we won't be meeting, and Tuesday the 9th, we'll start with the new book. And so I haven't received any suggestions for a new book yet. So I'm going to make a suggestion, if you don't mind. And when I take a look at what's going on, I was watching I Allegedly and Economic Ninja. And Economic Ninja had one of his people who he deals with, a broker, a precious metals broker, talked about he had a $50 million purchase of gold and silver all at one time, and he wanted the solid stuff. He didn't want the paper or anything else. He wanted the actual. He was preferring Silver Eagles, constitutional silver, which is the 90% coins, 1964 and earlier, or gold. And he wanted it all in U.S. currency type stuff. So, you know, it's getting serious out there. Of course, you know that China and Russia have announced they're going to introduce through BRICS a new reserve world currency, and they've evidently got Saudi Arabia on their side. So BRICS is now going to become BRICS squared because it's got two S's. But you've got Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now Saudi Arabia all agreeing to be an international currency, probably to be the yuan. And Saudi Arabia is doing away with their 1972 agreement to only accept U.S. dollars for oil. And it looks like they're going to change that to the yuan. Thank you, USA, for protecting us all that time, but we think we found somebody who's more capable of protecting us now. So, you know, the old agreement goes away, the new agreement comes in. And so that means that there's going to be all kinds of money thrown back at the U.S. here in the very near future. So because of, you know, the situation with inflation, the situation with the gold reserve, the situation with all that kinds of stuff, I thought it might be appropriate if we kind of reviewed Fernando Ferfal Aguirre's book. This is the guy who writes about surviving the economic collapse and subsequent horror that happened in Argentina in 2001. So I'll put that as the link, and we'll start working on that book for our nonfiction book. And, you know, we'll start discussing that, and I'll put some information out on that in a video here in the near future. Yay, Apartment Prepper, good. All right, what do you think? Great book? Okay, Uncle Al says it's a great book, so yeah, okay, we'll work on that one then. Okay, so let's get to work here on the one we currently need to finish up. It's difficult to come up with questions on Chapter 6 preparedness. I think the reason is because of all the fantastic lists that he gives us in that final chapter. It's difficult to ask questions about those. But one of the things that caught my eye at the very beginning, and I got to come up here, and at the very beginning, he says, children aren't good at keeping secrets. So, he talks about anytime you have a child, they're going to share a secret, and then, it's going to, of course, be exaggerated or inflated or whatever. And that's something you don't want, is you don't want your kids out spreading around everything that you're doing and what you're doing and how you're doing it. So how do we involve the children? Because it's important to have a feeling of a sense of belonging, a sense of cooperation, a sense of participation. But at the same time, we don't want to tell them everything. So how do we make that happen? Hey, Bouger Prepper, welcome. So how do we make that happen? How do we get the kids involved with simultaneously trying to keep them to keep a secret? While we're waiting for a couple of responses, I'll tell you, I had a friend of mine at our Tuesday morning prayer group, and he's a handyman. And I was having a problem because I had so much stuff on my shelving units that they were sagging a little bit. And so I asked him if he could come and reinforce my shelves. And so he came to the house, and I took him into my room, and I said, now, you're only one of about 6 human beings that has ever seen this room, knows that it exists, and knows what's in it. So I expect it to keep that way. And he said, okay. So then he built the shelves, and I'll be doggone, the very next Tuesday morning meeting, 50 people in the meeting, he stands up and says, man, you aren't going to believe what Lee has in that extra bedroom is. I thought, oh, man, you can't even trust people you hire. It's unbelievable. No ideas on how to involve children without them and encouraging them to keep a secret, huh? Hello, Peaceful Monkey. Well, one of the things that Selco talks about is making it a game. So getting them involved so that they think it's a game. You've been honest with yours. Yeah. And yours are what, 12 and 7? Give them tasks. Yep. Have them perform as a person who's who what they have to do. They learn how to do it. Great advice. And okay, so Pregnant by Faith says her 2 are 12 and 7. So that's just the perfect age too. But I'm afraid, if I showed my 4-year-old grandson that room, he would probably tell whoa to the whole world. So it can be difficult getting kids involved. So he encourages you to make lists of all kinds of lists. What lists go into your bug out bag? What lists go? A list of who does what in what event and everything else. And I've talked about that in the past. And we have decision trees. And so, depending upon the scenario, I think one of the things we as preppers do ourselves, it's disingenuous. And I got into a discussion with another prepper, a very well-respected prepper, and we got into a discussion about this. And it wasn't a disagreement, just a discussion. Night before last, or 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago. But anyhow, he said he's one of those that says gold will never have any purpose. And I responded and I said, to the people who have gold will never have any purpose, I have the same response as to anybody who says gold will always have value. You can't be monolithic in how you view something. And the problem is, and this carries back to this make lists. There are so many different scenarios. We could have economic collapse, civil war, nuclear war, drought, food shortage, another pandemic. Then you take any one of those events, and there's a timeline. So the day after it happens, people are going to be confused and muddled and watching. you probably won't be getting, people will probably be out of the shock state about the third day. Then that's when the violence most likely will start. And so then over time, you're trying to rebuild. And as you get to a point in rebuilding, you come to a point where you're having barter sessions. And then you find out that bartering is really ineffective and inefficient. And so you're going to have markets evolve. And then when you have markets evolve, you're going to want to have some sort of common monetary system, whether that be US dollars, whether it be gold and silver. You're going to have something that's going to be a fungible form of currency that you can break up in smaller pieces, trade it, and it will have a constant value. So I just think that, when we make our lists, we have to take all of that into consideration. Take a look through the timeline. One of the problems with this crud is it really dries you out. I mean, my throat and my mouth gets so dry, it's pitiful. The whole upper respiratory area is just like sandpaper dry. But anyhow, so I think that's what Selco's talking about here, is making those lists for any contingency and any point in time in the contingency. And, that would be a lot better served for you to have your plans and be able to carry those out. I have a book. I used to have it here, but I have a 3-ring binder, a 3-inch 3-ring binder. And it's got even down to, if X happens, then Helen goes to Target and Allison goes to HEB and my son-in-law goes to pick up the grandchildren, and then he does this, and then I go here, and who's going to pick up what and where we're going to drop it off and everything else. So I've got it down to the point of who does what when for each scenario. Now, if there's nuclear, of course, the only thing we're going to do is head inside and hunker down. But so one other thing I would like to share, and this is still on the topic of lists. Make sure you have a list of everything that is in your get home bag, bug out bag, or anything else, and what you paid for each item. When I first bought my Kia Sportage, I had it maybe 2 months, and I was working as the HR director for a electric power company up in Waco. So I was commuting back and forth between Waco and North Austin every day. And it was right at a 2-hour drive each way. And so I came home and parked my car. And that night, somebody had accessed one of the magic keys for Kia and went around the neighborhood. And everybody who had a new Kia, the trunk was opened up and everything was in the car was taken out. So it originally was a bug out bag. And then I put it in the car and said it was my get home bag, was taken out of the back of the car. And when I filed the insurance claim, I am sure I lost thousands of dollars. I've been working on that bug out bag since 1980 and, constantly revising it and upgrading it and everything else. So I didn't have a list of everything. I had a list of a lot of the things. I didn't have the original cost. So I'm sure I lost lots of money because I didn't have an accurate list of everything that was in my bag. So I want to encourage you, just if you're going to keep it in your car and it's available for theft, make sure you have detailed inventory, detailed list of what's in it. And that also lets you know when you need to replace stuff. So kind of like doing a rotation on the contents of your bug out bag. Selco says to store your items in more than one place. What do you think about that? I'm not so 100% sure. I see people getting large pieces of PVC and creating caches and digging holes and planting them in. But I am really afraid there's really not that much land available to hide something where it wouldn't be disturbed by somebody else. And then when you count on it being there and it's not, I would hate for that to happen. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. You are spot on. I think that's a great idea. I think that's probably appropriate here and in a storage unit. Um, my problem is that what I would like to do is I've got way too many number 10 cans. I'd like to get some in a storage unit, but I would have to have temperature control so that they don't get exposed to a lot of heat. But then I'm always worried about if I put them in a storage unit, it would have to be one that was within walking distance in case there was an EMP and I needed to get stuff. Yep, kind of. Yep, in agreement. My only problem with that, Maggie, is I'm not sure that you can secure it. That other people aren't going to dig it up. Um, when I take a look at the number of people who are the amount of construction here in this area, and I'm just not so sure that it wouldn't be found and taken. And then when I'm counting on it being there, it wouldn't be there. That's my biggest concern. Yep, we're in agreement, Bouger. Absolutely. Oh, I am so jealous, apartment prepper. I am so jealous. Uh, now that's very wise. I like that. Yeah, most of my mag, uh, and I'm actually a member of three. So one of them is the entire state of Texas, and it's the Texas Preparedness Group. And then I'm a member of TACTA, the American Civil Defense Association, but that's kind of nationwide. And then the group that I have here in Central Texas, we're spread out. I mean, Rolling Rock, Rolling Hills, down San Antonio, as far north as Waco. And, in reality, the one big fear I have is we won't be able to get together I mean, we've done a great job working together and training together and sharing and everything else. But if anything happens, we won't be able to work together. It's going to be difficult for us to all merge or merger into one different location. Yeah, that isn't, isn't that the truth? Sometimes I put something in my storage room and forget where I put it in my storage room. Yeah, I'm suburban. Huh. Didn't know if the state had any authority over federal land. That's interesting. Uh, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. You are so spot on, Maggie. None of us can make it alone. We have to build a community, um, and we're working on that. But the problem is, in trying to establish that community and trying to get those people to coalesce, what you can do is sometimes you can almost give away too much information so that people who don't want to join but attended your organizing meeting know that you have stuff, and so you can become a target very easily. So trying to get that whole thing excuse me, gosh, this stuff is terrible. Trying to get that all coordinated is going to be very, very important. Yeah, and so like I've got this is an ECBANC group that I sit at, and ECBANC is a corner group, ECBANC group, and so there's stool. This is all a bench, a covered bench and padded and everything else. And there's two chairs, one there and one there. My chair is over there, the grandpa chair, and it seats 8 people. So underneath, we got all kinds of water and stuff. So we got water underneath here. I've got my one storage room, and I've taken over another room, and Helen's not too happy about that. Got all kinds of stuff in another room, and I mean, it's just all over the place. I've taken over the entire laundry room almost. So yeah, we've got it all over the place, but that's just the way it goes. That's great. That's great. I'm envious. Yes, I am COVID positive, and I've been taking medication now for 5 days, and so trying to keep hydrated and trying to keep my throat a little bit wet, and we'll see if I can kick this thing. Helen is back in her bed, and so she's a day ahead of me. She came out positive. As a matter of fact, she tested herself during our book club last week and came back positive. And then the following morning, I took the test and I came back positive. So, both of us have been positive since last Tuesday, Wednesday. I wouldn't say excessive brain fog. I've had this metallic taste in my mouth that I just cannot get rid of. Helen's sense of smell and taste are kind of diminished. We just don't have any energy. It just totally saps you of all energy. All you want to do is sleep. But your muscles are aching so much that you can't sleep. So,
Or your body's itching.
she says, or her body's itching. We've had a lot of that too. So it's just it's not pleasant. They say that it's 2 to 3 times the flu.
Not the worst thing I've ever had.
But Helen just said it's not the worst thing we've ever had, but then again, it's something we don't want to have again. So. Okay, tactical guidelines are standard practice from the Army regs books. They also provide in field med triage. Used to have 2 or more preeps who have been through triage, first aid, etc., natural medicine. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I suddenly remember these.
Oh.
They taste good.
Okay, let me see here.
Have to get well and go buy some more.
Next one is to have one person responsible for inventory, and they have one system on how to keep track of things. I don't know if you've noticed it or not. We've done some what you call haul videos, and I've gotten quite a few comments because what I did was when I first started this back in 1980, as far as hunkered down type stuff, what I did was I always took a Sharpie, and I keep one here next to me. I always take a Sharpie and then write down the month and year that I purchased whatever it was that I got. And then when I put them on the shelves for rotation, I can always see which one is the oldest based on the oldest date. And so a lot of people have given me a comment, well, that's not the way you do it. You should do it so that you're writing down the best buy date or the expiration date or something like that instead of the way you're doing it. And I hate to say it, I've been doing it that way since 1980. I'm not going to change. And when you take a look at the volume of stuff that I have now, to change now would be really crazy. So I think that's why just it doesn't matter. Find a system that works for you. Have one person with that system, and then have it go like that. Now, one thing I did do when we reorganized the pantry here just before, gosh, that's a mess still. We started reorganizing the pantry just before we were going to have the wood floor laid in the master bedroom. So we had everything out of the pantry room and into the extra bedroom, and then they called us and said, "We're going to install your wood floor for you tomorrow." So we moved everything out of the master bedroom into the second bedroom. So now we got everything from all over the house in one bedroom, stacked to the ceilings. And they came in and started laying the wooden floor. And as he got out the front door, I chased after her, slipped and broke my hip. So now it's been trying to reinstate the pantry room, get everything back from the second room into the master bedroom on a broken hip. So that's taken quite a while. And then, of course, just as I get to the point where I can walk without a cane, then we come down with COVID. So, but anyhow, the whole thought is keep one person in charge of the list in your inventory and make sure that they have one system. I use Excel spreadsheet. That's worked well for me. Yes, there are apps. You can purchase an app if you want to. The nice thing about an Excel spreadsheet is you can print it out too. And that way I have, once every 3 or 4 months, I'll print it out and put it into my, that 3-ring binder I told you I have. Oh, wow. That's neat. It's a great idea. Thank you, Apartment Prepper. Now, the one thing is that I learned, I was getting to it with my story about the extra bedroom. One of the things I've had to do is I've had to put a location indicator in my Excel spreadsheet. So, today we just got in some more of my pantry haul, or my what do you call it? Oh, we got in our stuff from Amazon Prime Day. That's what it was. We got in 2 more cans of, and so I've got 2 more cans of this, the bread scone and roll mix, and I entered them into my spreadsheet and I said, "Holy crap, I got 10 of those now." So now you got to find a place to put them. So what I'm doing is I've got another column in my spreadsheet, and it says where it is. So the first indicator is going to be the bedroom number, so 1, 2, or 3, and then we've got laundry as an L, and then garage is a G. So that tells us which room to look at, and then we've got the shelves numbered in each one of the rooms, and then on so shelving units, I should say. So you got, let's say, room C, and then shelving unit 1, and then shelf 3. So you can go find what it is you're looking for, because we've also located where we have them stored. Well, welcome back. Uncle Al just put out a video on cannibalism. Y'all ought to watch that. I think that was like Friday or Saturday. Great. Glad that works for you. Okay. And so don't show anything to anyone. And that is so true. And I'm always so concerned when we have guests over. So we try to keep all the doors closed to all the rooms and everything. And we don't entertain that much. But still, we just don't want to have people know too much of what we got going on. We have, I have some long pew-pews in the bedroom in a glass case, and so whenever we have something that's going to happen in the bedroom, like like when we had the flooring put in, I always remove those to another room, so they may know that there's a holder for them in the room, but they don't know what is there actually. And I've always been kind of cautious of that. Now he talks about a decoy storage location. What are your thoughts on that? What am I taking for meds for COVID? Oh, Pavlaxid, I think is what it's called. It's a 3 pills in the morning and 3 pills in the evening.
Oh.
Addie, be nice. Hey, Alco Run Girl, welcome. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. Yes, and then when I first started getting into precious metals, they had there were very few at that time, but they had, I think, a can of Pennzoil, and actually it looks like a Pennzoil can of oil with a screw top lid, and you could put your gold and silver in there and then hide it in the garage. And there were a couple other things that they had, and so I kept buying those and putting them out in the garage and everything else. And then it got to the point where I just didn't have enough, so my daughter bought me a safe, and um, then, gosh, 5 years ago she bought me another safe, and then we just ended up having to buy another safe. So, uh, but this one we were able to get it drilled into the concrete in the garage, so I was pretty happy with that. Shaving, oh yeah, shaving can, yeah, Barbasol. It was a Barbasol can. Thank you. That's right. That's what it was. And but I think with the decoy storage, what he's talking about basically is if people know you have something, and you put something kind of semi-hidden, not really hidden, but semi-hidden, and make it where they have to work for it. But when they find it, they discover, you weren't that clever. We were able to find it, and then if they find a small stash that you have semi-hidden, so that they found it uh, with a little bit of effort, then they probably won't go looking for too much more. They'll figure that they've already found what it is they were looking for. So that's one way of doing it. Yes, yes, drop ceiling, and then Uncle Al's talking about also doing it with a fake wall, um, and that's very common. I know that in our house 2 houses ago, we had an area where we could put stuff in between the two pieces of drywall and in between the rafters, and that was fairly well covered up. So yeah, you can do all kinds of neat things as far as in the construction of your home where to put things. I had it specifically built, the an area like that in between rafters and in between the drywalls when we built our home in Arizona. And that was a 2x6 construction, which made it really nice because it was nice and thick as far as being able to fit things in there. So that was a great idea. Yep, fake walls are always great. There's another one I saw where they have fake. Uh, you have the drop area between the drywall, and I guess I am having brain fog, is like you would not believe. Prepping by faith. I think it was your power of suggestion. Um, and then in between the two rafters, so, but then they had these fake covers for electricity, electrical plugs. You could just pull that out, and that became your in and out, your door to access that area. So I thought that was pretty neat. Next thing he recommends is keep cash on hand. I bet. If you're putting it in an interior wall, then it's going to be the temperature of the house, and so it probably won't have any problems. Thank you, Maggie. Okay, keep cash on hand. What do you think about that? And once again, this is one of those things, and we can be very judgmental, and it may not work very well, but there will come a point in time when cash will have no value. It will be a point in time where cash will have a lot of value. Um, I'm going to say it depends upon the scenario, and I'm going to say that it depends upon the needs. I like to keep $100 cash and small bills in my pocket. And come here. She's crying to get up there to see your grandpa. You gonna be okay? You okay? Okay, can I put you down? Um, but I like to keep small bills, and that's partly from reading that book in the science. Well, no, it was reinforced when I read the book by Stephen Smith, the Reversion. And he's starting out, and then all of a sudden, bang, EMP hits, and he is trying to get lunch at a barbecue joint, and thank God he had plenty of cash. And so, as I look at it, the minute that something happens, then we know that you're not going to be able to use credit cards and all this other kinds of stuff. So if I have a little bit of cash at the very beginning of the onset of the problem, chances are I'll be able to use that cash and be able to get things I need to get home. So it's I highly recommend keeping cash on hand if possible. That was Isabella. That was my daughter's puppy when she was in college. She graduated in 2011. So Izzy was born in 2009. She's 13. And, but she's not too good. She's jealous. She was the sole baby of the family until the two boys came along. And so now she's jealous that the boys are getting more attention than she is. So, Allison tells everybody that I'm her favorite human. So I got to keep her because she was being so mean to the boys. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Thank you. That's a great idea, Maggie. Thank you very much. I've always had a philosophy, and maybe it's because of the way in the intelligence service we were not allowed to mix things in a safe. So if we had top secret SI in a safe, that's all we had in that safe. We couldn't keep any ammunition or any weapons. Or we couldn't keep any medications or drugs or anything else. And the whole philosophy was that you want to keep everything separate so that if you have a druggie who's looking for drugs, he'll leave your other stuff alone once he finds his drugs. So that's just kind of the way I've been. Don't know if there's any veracity to that or not, but that's just the way they've always taught us, was to keep things separated in our safes, safe, so that we didn't have that kind of an incursion. Mm. Okay. That used to be our expression for how to tell somebody that they had their stuff together, was say, he's got all his stuff in one burn bag, folded 3 times and stapled 5. So just an indication that the people had their stuff together. He also recommends dividing your storage up into different sections. So you might want to have one shelving unit is dedicated to, let's say, freeze-dried foods, one's to canned goods, one's to uh, say knives and other bushcraft type things. And so try to divide it up so that there's logical sections where your preparations are going to be stored. And I kind of ascribe to that quite a bit. I have most of my knives in one location. I have most of my all of my ammunition is in one location. All my fuel is in one location. So yeah, it kind of you kind of separate things out so that if I need something, I go to this general area. And I think that's going to be very, very critical. Yeah, I understand. For you, everything's in one place. So yeah, that can be a little bit on the issue side. Okay, keep important documents in fireproof, waterproof safe. Yep, we've done that. He says to build a library, store books. And I know there are some people who say you might as well get the Kindle version and have it on your laptop or whatever. I'm just really afraid of an EMP. Um, so that's really interesting, Uncle Al. When we started taking our storage room apart, I had bought a case of peaches, and so one of those cases of peaches, one of those cans in that case of peaches had blown up, and I mean there was we had to. It was a mess. That sugar, of course, rotted real quick, and so we had mold and everything else, and it was terrible. So yeah, and that's something else to be said is open your cases to make sure that you are looking at the cans and inspecting each one individually, so that they don't blow up on you. And he recommends you store not just for the immediate term, but for the long term. And he comes up with 4 rules on things to store. And he says, you store what you know you can use or you know how to use it. And I would encourage you to really be cautious. I think a lot of people think they know how to use a knife or think they know how to use a hatchet and or an axe. And in reality, that's something that can be very, very detrimental to you if you don't know how to do it correctly. So making sure you know how to use it, know that you know how to use it. And then he says, have that ordinary stuff. Don't go be extravagant. People, if they see extravagant, they're going to try to take it from you. But if you have ordinary and it just looks dull and boring, chances are people won't try to steal it from you. Have things that make or repair other things, and then don't blindly trust anything or anybody you see on the internet, which is very good advice. Let's go back up here and catch with comments. Yes, Maggie. There's a whole list of things you can get. As a matter of fact, both Prepping and By Faith and I got a book, Back to Basics, on the Amazon Prime days, and that's just got so much stuff. How to. It's almost like the Firefall. Was it Firefall? Foxfire, the Foxfire series. Matter of fact, when I got my first reenlistment bonus, it was by a Foxfire book or two. That was back in '71. Okay. I don't know. Let me see if I can turn this. There's my study Bibles. So, New American, Revised Standard, Layman's Parallel New Testament, and Thompson Chain Reference. So, yeah, I do a Bible in a year every morning when I first wake up. So, reading from those and understanding a little bit better. We're doing the book of Baruch this morning, yesterday, and today, and but that doesn't appear in the Protestant Bible. When Martin Luther left the church, he took some things out of the Bible, and he took out the Apocrypha, 6 books in the Old Testament, and he took out James, Jude, Hebrews, and Revelation out of the New Testament. And then John Calvin, about 12 years later, brought back the 4 New Testament books that Martin Luther took out, but didn't add back in the Apocrypha. So there is a difference between the Catholic and the Protestant Bibles, and the fact that we still have the Apocrypha that were approved at the Council of Rome in 482. Yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that a great book? I've been thumbing through it. I don't know if it's going to be more of an encyclopedia read than anything else. Yes, it is. It is fantastic, but it's only the New Testament. Okay, let's see here. We went through that. So now categories of prep. So the areas that he wants you to prep for are, number 1, sanitation. And we kind of had that discussion last week. That was chapter 5 of this book. Communications. And, that's going to be several different ways. That's going to be written communications. That's going to be electronic communications. What I am going to do, as soon as I learn how to edit and do it fairly well, I'm going to do a class on how to encrypt and decrypt messages. And I'll do it with a additive pad. I'll do a substitution system. I'll teach you how to do a transliteration system, all the stuff that I used to break. So I'll teach you how to encrypt and decrypt. But just remember that it's against FCC rules to send any encrypted communications unless there's an absolute need during times of peace. So if you do something that the FBI can't break into real quick, then you're going to be in violation of the law. Okay, personal items, underclothes, clothing, shoes, etc. One of the things that I'm concerned about is, with 3 grandchildren, um, making sure we have adequate amounts of clothing that they can grow into. So, making sure that there's plenty of shoes and uh, clothing and jackets and everything else for all the different ages and sizes as the kids grow up. And I have a feeling that the middle one, Strat, I have a feeling he's going to be a brute. He's going to be a guard or a tackle for a football team someday. Security, okay, and what you can do for security around your home. One of the best things you can do is put rose bushes beneath your windows. Take a look at pre-cutting some material to protect your windows from the inside, reinforce your doors. What kind of personal security you're going to have in the house. We keep both pepper. Well, it's actually pepper gel. But we have gel and a stun gun at the front door, and just in case. Um, so yeah, make sure you have your security figured out, and then sustainable living. Right now, let me tell you how disappointed I am in sustainable living. It was 103 again here today, and if you go out and look at my garden, I've got leaves burning on my blackberry bush. That the leaves are just burning. We've now had more consecutive days over 100 degrees than is an average for the entire summer. And we're just about ready to get into August. Is usually typically our hottest month. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Okay. Come here. Okay, there you go. Um, so, my garden, and with the drought, we're only allowed to water once a week. So I'm out there in the morning hand watering. That you can only water once a week if you have an irrigation system. I'm out there hand watering every morning about 5:30 at BMNT, beginning morning nautical twilight, which is when the sun is 12 degrees below the horizon. So you can just start seeing things at 100 yards, shapes and stuff like that. I'm out watering the yard because we can still hand water it. And that way it gets soaked in before it gets burnt out. Preparations for food and how you're going to do that. I have been asked, how long should I prep for? And I think that the key is we should all have at least a 3-month minimum. And then beyond a 3-month minimum, I think, then you start working in 3-month increments where you go from 3 months to 6 months to 9 months to a year. My personal goal is to have at least 3 years worth of food here in the house. And that's because we may have more years like this where we don't produce anything in the garden. And so I've got to be prepared for that. They say it typically takes 2 weeks to turn over to a sustainable garden. So, with 1 year bad, 3 years would be more. I'm beginning to think it's probably even going to be worse than that. I'm beginning to think I need to have probably 7 years stored up. Don't know where I'll put it, but, probably need to have about 7 years stored up. This is my main concern right now, and I think it should probably also be yours, especially with the drought. Where I was planning on getting my water supply, that source has gone dry. And so now I've got to go out and find a new source and figure out how I'm going to get it from there to here in the event of an emergency. So, that's going to be a tough one. And then he closes the book with talking about various scenarios that we all need to take into consideration. Let me see if I can catch up with comments here. The braided fishing line with bells on them. Yep. It's a noise alarm. Yeah, absolutely good door. Steel doors. Understand. Yep. Oh, that's ingenious. Wow, I like that. Kind of reminiscent of what was it, Home Alone, where they did that. Indoor gardening, absolutely. Yeah, I just I look back at Joseph and the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of drought, and then there are at least three instances in the Bible of 7 years of drought, and so I have a feeling that we're in year one of 7 year drought, and that it's just my personal opinion. So that's kind of what I'm planning on doing, and um, but I think we're in for a long one. I think it's going to be. I think there's going to be something really devastating here in the very near future. Yes, you can create activated water. Now, if you take a look at the recent video by Prepping by Faith, she did her Amazon haul, and she got a distiller. And oh wow, I'm jealous of that. I am so jealous. I would love to have a distiller. So even after you run it through your filtration system, distill it to get rid of all the viruses. Thank you, Uncle Al. I was looking at one. It's a tower, a white tower, with pods that you put into it. It had cabbage and celery and lettuce and everything else. And you get the seedlings and just put them in there, and it has its own ring up above for a grow light, and it's self-watering. So I thought, wow, that's a great idea. So I checked on it, flipped on the price. The smallest one they had was $6.99. So I said, no, I think I'll do something else different. Yeah, I use Epsom salts, believe it or not, as a fertilizer. So I fertilize my tomatoes, especially with Epsom salts, and I also use hydrogen peroxide. And so, yeah. And you created a sun distiller. Oh, wow. Interesting. I don't know why we haven't done that for to no girls, you're not going outside. I don't know why we haven't done that yet for desalinization. Use a solar distiller and desalinate water, and that would give us more fresh water. That's for sure. I can't get anything on Facebook. I was kicked off of Facebook, and I still don't know why. So I asked them, and they said, well, "We kicked you. You're permanently banned because you disagreed with us banning you in the first place." And I said, "But I still don't know why I was banned in the first place." And but they said, "No, no, you objected to it. You can't ever come back on. So don't do anything on Facebook anymore." Don't know what I did wrong, but if they tell you you're banned, don't disagree with that when you write them a letter. Just ask them why. Because if you disagree with being banned, but they don't give you a reason, they'll permanently ban you. Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that. I think that may be it, because I did have I had a store back in, oh gosh, 2011, and it was called the Survival Center of America, and so I had my store on Facebook, and I did a lot of training on Facebook. I did a lot of that stuff that I'm doing now on YouTube. I was doing on Facebook, and that may have been what really got them ticked off, was all that kind of stuff. I didn't discuss any pew pews though. I try to stay away from that. I think getting the information out to people, uh, you know, within the guidelines of what we have is more important, that I can get information out and that I'll play by the rules in order to get information out that'll save lives. Yeah, I had 10,000 when I was kicked off Twitter too, and I know why I was kicked off Twitter. So, but that's the way it goes. Okay, we are right at. We are right at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I'm going to put the list, and we're going to take a break next week. We'll come back the following week. We're going to be doing Fernando Furfal Aguirre's Surviving the Economic Collapse. So that'll give you some time to go out and get the book and read the first. Let me see how far we can read here, because this is very small print. So the introduction is 30 pages, and the book itself is 450 or 250 pages. So if we did 30 pages a week, that would make it about 8 weeks. So how about the first 30 pages of Surviving the Economic Collapse by Fernando Furfal Aguirre, and we'll get that taken care of, and we'll be back in 2 weeks, same time. Don't forget, this coming Thursday, we're doing book 2 of the Rosemont series on our fiction book club, and that's going to be The Revival by Stephen C. Smith. So that'll be Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. Okay. So let me see what we got here. And then coming Saturday, we have our 8 p.m. Saturday Grow Your Channel. So that's where we all get on here together. We just randomly have discussions. I just kind of let the chat go wild. And what we're going to do is everybody who comes on agrees to subscribe to everybody else who's on at that time. And we will take a look at how how big a channel you have, try to help you grow faster. We'll try to get as many people to subscribe to as many people as possible and just help each other grow. So that's kind of what we got this coming week. So let me see what we got. Any conversations here going on, and then I'll get ready and we'll shut it down. Really? I just watched one of his early this morning. Huh? That's why I try not to get into the news announcements or anything else. And when I do, I'm always looking at it from a solution side rather than a problem side. And, so I think I have to play the game just so I can save lives. And I think that's what we need to do, is just all of us get together and save lives. I shall, Boucher, I shall. Well, how about this? This is the oath that I took on October 13th, 1970. And it says, I do solemnly swear that I'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I'll bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I'll obey the orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed over me in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and so help me God. So I take myself very seriously too. How many of us can still remember the oath that we took over 50 years ago? Yeah, but Uncle Al, Bouger's request is I put it down below because if she uses my link, then I get a 2% commission. Thanks, Parma Pepper. Yeah, I'm hoping. My dermatologist had a dermatology appointment tomorrow, and they called and canceled it. And they said that the CDC guidelines is 10 days after diagnosis. So, they had to move my. I can't go to the doctor tomorrow. Okay, everybody. I will put the link down below, and for the Fernando Furfal Aguirre book, and when this comes back live or comes back as a replay, then you can just go to the. And I'll also have it changed on all of my other introductions as we go along. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate you. Take care. Have a great evening. Do not get this. Do not get this. It is not worth it. Take care. Bye-bye.